Neighbor took my parking spot after I shoveled. I poured water on his windshield. It was a cold winter day. 8 inches of snow had fallen the night before, and the wind chill made it feel as if it was in the negative degrees. I drive an all-wheel drive SUV, so I have no issues getting out. My wife, on the other hand, drives a Prius, which slides with the smallest amount of moisture on the road. My car was down at the time, so we had to take my wife's car. I spent 45 minutes in the freezing cold shoveling that car out so we could get it to the store. We were gone for an hour, and when we came back, our neighbor had taken the spot I had shoveled. Our apartment complex doesn't have assigned parking, but in the winter it's understood that if you shovel a spot, it's yours. So when I saw his car park in the spot I had just shoveled, I was pretty pissed. I went inside and filled 2-gallon jugs of water, went back out and poured them on his windshield. Rinse and repeat. I must have poured about 10 gallons total on his car. Being how cold it was already starting to freeze by the time I poured the last gallon on. It sat like that overnight. The next morning, I got to watch as he helplessly tried to scrape all these layers of ice off his windshield. Don't take my goddamn parking spot. I mean, as far as petty revenge goes, I'd say 8 out of 10. I would have gotten the door handles. Entitled Parker parked in my driveway, so I blocked them in and got drunk all weekend. Friday night, I came home from work to find someone on our block was having a large party and someone had decided they were entitled to park in my driveway. Keep in mind, my driveway is a single car width lined with a retaining wall on both sides and a garage at the end. Essentially impossible for a tow truck to come and pull them out without any property damage. Seeing this and the lack of street parking, I took this as a cue to park right behind them in my driveway. Now a few hours go by and the entitled Parker is now knocking at my door demanding I move my car so she can leave. Seeing as how she was demanding, I informed her that I had been drinking and would not be moving my car. The entitled Parker then decides to call the police to get them to force me to move. When the police knocked on my door, I was sure to grab a beer from the fridge before I answered to talk to the officer. I informed him that I had just gotten home, I was unwinding, and I had been drinking, and was in no shape to drive. At this point, their hands were tied, because they could not tow her car out, I'm in no shape to drive, and I'm legally parked in my own driveway. I ended up telling the entitled Parker that since this is a long weekend, I would be on a weekend-long bender and she could come and pick the car up Tuesday after I go to work. Seems the real assholes don't ask if they're assholes, they just get petty revenge. My half-sister wanted to show up in a wedding dress to my engagement party, so I changed the party theme so she would fit right in. My half-sister Heather and I have never really gotten along. We're both 24. My father left my mother for her mother when we were both born in the same month about 20 days apart. It's always been weird. It doesn't help that Heather's mom hates me and my mom. By extension, Heather and I don't have the best relationship. She has always tried to one-up me, even though we both have a similar economic background. I can give examples of this, but for the sake of the word limit, I won't write them here. Much appreciated of you. So now my fiance and I got engaged last month and had our engagement party this Saturday. We had planned it originally as a casual, formal event. Nice dresses, but not, I'm going to the Met Gala ball type dresses. More like, we're going to a good restaurant type nice dresses. Anyway, my cousin hits me up saying she has to show me something. It was the picture of the dress Heather was gonna wear. And this dress, Jesus Christ, it can only be described as opulent. Wait, what does opulent mean? Ostentatiously rich and luxurious or elaborate. There we go. It was long and white, strapless with sewn-in crystals and golden accents. I'm pretty sure it's a wedding dress, but I can't be 100%. This made me really mad, so I decided, F that. I started texting people telling them that there had been a change of plan. And instead of casual formal, I decided to make my party a costume party. My mother's side is crazy following, so they were immediately on board. I told my father via text and asked him to relay the message to Heather and her mother, knowing full well that he would forget or leave it to the last minute. Saturday comes along, guests start showing up, most of them in costumes. Some didn't have time to get one. We just provided them with fun hats and cheap wigs. Heather, my dad, and her mother come like an hour late. As soon as she notices that everyone was either wearing elaborate costumes or weird accessories and she didn't stand out, she lost it. Especially when my fiance came along and told her that her bride dress looked amazing for a cheap costume. She left crying. She left crying. And her mother and my father told me that I was being childish, and I could have told Heather myself and not have asked. She left crying, and her mother and my father told me that I was being childish, and I could have told Heather myself and not tasked my father. For those interested, my fiancé was dressed as Bubbles, and I was dressed as Mojo Jojo, from the Powerpuff Girls. My mom and aunts were dressed as ABBA. Other memorable costumes were Luffy and Zorro, Ian Malcolm and John Hammond, and Jesus. Fun fact and completely coincidental, this petty revenge story was also posted in Am I the Asshole? I exposed an affair because it was affecting my sleep. So I'll start off with understanding what I did wasn't exactly right, but I regret nothing. TLDR, my upstairs neighbor is having an affair and it's affecting my sleep. So I found the wife online and messaged her. Problem solved. My upstairs neighbor has been having an affair with a married man for about 4 months now. I wouldn't care, but because it's an affair, he comes over at odd hours of the night and they have sex very loudly. I can hear a lot. And it wakes me up and prevents me from sleeping. How do I know it's an affair? He's never spent the night and his car has a baby car seat in there. So I decided to learn some more about the man. I looked up the license plate, found an address, searched the address, and found a name. I took the name and did some social media stalking and found the man and his wife's profiles. After making a throwaway account, I messaged the wife about the affair. I haven't seen the man now for a few weeks and I'm sleeping rather nicely. Definitely seeing all of the petty here, but I don't see what revenge was taken. If anything, telling the wife was a good deed. A barmaid laughed at my drink order. I was on holiday with my son and we were watching the football game in a bar in the evening. I don't really drink, but I do enjoy a cocktail while on holiday. The server came by and asked if we wanted drinks. I asked for a pina colada. That's not that bad. I drink pina coladas. She sniggered a little at the order, then kind of laughed out and okay, then walked off to make it. This annoyed me a little. I'm just a grown man wanting to drink a tasty cocktail. What's wrong with that? When she brought back the drink, I got my petty revenge. As she was placing the drink on the table, I said, "My mom loved these, God rest her. I always have one on the anniversary of her death to remember her." The barmaid looked horrified and tried to shuffle away quickly. So I asked her for a cocktail stir, so she had to come back again. When she came back, I took a sip from the straw, kissed my hand, and pointed to the sky trying to look sad. She was so visibly uncomfortable I had to stifle my own laughs. She noticeably avoided our table multiple times after this. Yeah, that'll definitely teach her to laugh at your girly drink next time. Want to block my driveway, officer? It's going to be another minute or two on the coffee. About a decade ago, I worked an early morning shift at a fast food restaurant. We opened at 6 a.m., so I had to be at work at 5 a.m. I would leave my house around 4:45. We're just going to skip to the point real fast here. I got there to find a local police officer had pulled someone over and is now blocking my driveway. This has happened before, but normally in the afternoon, and normally I just ask the officer to move forwards or backwards a couple of feet, and I pull into the driveway no sweat. This officer, however, angrily informs me that I will have to wait until he's done. I snap a picture of his car, text it to my manager, and explain my tardiness. 40 minutes later, the police officer finally moves. I scramble into the car and head to work. I get there 15 minutes before we open. I frantically start to brew tea, fetch ice, have to condense my 50-minute routine into 15. I almost forgot to brew the coffee. Uh-oh, it sounds like foreshadowing. Opening time rolls around, and the first group of customers comes in. It's a group of our local police officers led by the captain. I guess they're about to do a shift change. One of the officers in the group is the one who blocked my driveway. Anyway, the captain orders coffee and I regretfully inform him that there's a 5-minute wait on coffee because I got to work extremely late. The captain asked why, so I pulled out my phone and explained that one of his officers blocked my driveway for 45 minutes for a routine traffic stop. The captain proceeds to chew that officer out in front of all his colleagues and explains that nothing short of life or death emergency should block my driveway if it will interfere with him getting his morning coffee. It was never blocked again, and the captain always got his coffee at 6 a.m. without interruption. Now that is what I call petty revenge, even if what just happened in the story never happened in real life.